Now, I'm not surprised since I started talking more about how I incorporate both law of assumption and law of attraction in my teachings, that some people, specifically from the law of assumption, kind of dogmatic extreme side of things, have a bit of an issue with the things that I'm saying. And this video isn't to shame anyone. I'm going to blur out the names and everything, even though they've commented publicly on my video. It's fine. This isn't to sort of be like, you're wrong, I'm right, or anything like that. This is just to give an example of like, if this is the energy in which you are watching my video from, the lens through which you are watching my videos from or through, then you are probably a prime candidate for my manifestation cheat codes to help the process be easier for you, because there's no way that people would be commenting on my video, on a video, any video that they disagree with, if they're regulated, if they know who the fuck they are, if they knew who the fuck they were and they were coming from a regulated, non-anxious place, then they wouldn't be affected by what I'm saying. You should be able to get to a point where you don't need to stay in an echo chamber in order to feel confident that everything's going to work out for you, or trust that everything's going to work out for you, or not be in a constant state of anxiety. In fact, the fear of coming across anyone or anything that says anything different to you is just creating more resistance. So I wanted to go through these comments again, not to shame anyone, because look, my channel is going to be here if they get to the point that I did when I learned the hard way, which is why I have a lot of empathy for the people who are doing, like, commenting things like this and getting all upset over the things that I'm saying when I talk about not just focusing on the mindset piece, even though that is important, because I learned the hard way. I also, I may not have been externally reactive in the sense of feeling the need to comment on people's videos, but I was internally affected. I had an internal reaction to seeing anything or hearing anything that seemingly opposed what I believed or what I thought I needed to believe in order to have what I wanted. And I can tell you, as someone who used to be an anxious, analytical, overthinking person, which is the kind of person that the oversimplified explanation of law of assumption really appeals to, I'm not an anxious, overthinking, analytical person anymore. And I was for like most of my life. And that all comes down to my manifestation cheat codes that did not start off as anything to do with my manifestation. They were, well, in the sense of trying to get it, they were things that I incorporated in when I got mentally and physically unwell to the point of burnout, which I talk about in my toxic side of law of assumption video, which I'll put on the end card of this video for you to watch after this, where focusing solely on the mindset piece only made my self-concept worse and worse over time. Like, felt better initially, but then just got worse and worse over time. My anxiety got gradually worse and worse over time, to the point where I just completely got burnt out. You can go back to my old videos and see how bad my skin was and all the other things that I talk about in that video. I won't go into all the details here. The cheat codes are things that I did when I had no choice but to focus on myself, because the way I was focusing on my manifestation was dogmatic and unhealthy. And when I incorporated in those things to focus on myself, my manifestations started flowing again. And it became easier and more flowy. And I felt like I didn't feel like I needed to control things as much. And everything just became easier and felt better. We are not here, I say this a lot, we are not here to go through hardships to get to happiness. That makes as much sense as going to war for peace. The only reason why things feel hard before they get better is because we are dysregulated. We don't understand the power of reprogramming our minds and our bodies, because in here is memories stored as feelings that then get you stuck on a negative feedback loop of the thoughts that started the whole thing in the first place, right? So it does start here, but it gets stored here too, and rooted, deep rooted in to your physiology through your feelings. And the only reason things get harder before they get better is because our like internal guidance system, our internal compass is out of whack, and it's not reading things very accurately. It can't steer us towards the things that we want and away from the things we don't want. When it's out of whack, we need to recalibrate it. So sometimes people like myself, but not always, but also like, why would you risk getting to that point? Why would you not just incorporate the things that feel better now to do to still get what you want, that still incorporates in law of assumption, instead of going the hard route, the like obsessive, anxious, shitty feeling, resistant feeling way. Can you manifest from resistance? Yeah. If you want a fleeting dopamine hit and for it to be defeating, more and more defeating every time you have to, like, it doesn't last and you have to manifest it back in again, sure, continue doing it that way. But if that sounds awful to you, if what I went through sounds awful to you, which it fucking should, because it was, then you'll incorporate in my manifestation cheat codes before you get to the point that I got to. Some of you won't, but my channel will be here for you if you do get to the point that I got to. And there's no judgment. I'll welcome back these people who sent these comments that I'm going to go through today with open arms and empathy. Hey legends, I'm Cerise. I'm your self-agency and manifestation mentor, and I help you decipher the nuances of manifestation from both the law of assumption and law of attraction manuals of manifestation, because there's a lot of information out there that's either overcomplicated or oversimplified, and I learned a lot of things the hard way, so you don't have to. So we can all manifest smarter, not harder. If you get anything positive out of this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and or subscribe. It helps push my videos out to more people. And if you'd like to help me with the algorithm by commenting below, but you don't know what to comment, just put a sparkle emoji, because we're creating literal, real world fucking magic on this channel. So on my "you don't manifest what you need, you manifest what you are" video, this comment was left, and I'll put it on the screen. I chased my SP and we ended up in a long, beautiful relationship. I had no assumptions that when I chase them, I push them away. Same with receiving and giving. It does not have to be balance between those, as it's just limiting belief. I don't relate with your videos. I watched it because it was in proposed videos from YouTube, but I don't relate with anything you say. I manifested lots of things which refutes your point of view. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. When you have recalibrated your internal compass, right, your nervous system, which includes your brain, so it helps the thoughts piece, but it also has to do with your feelings, right? Obviously, you don't feel the need to comment things like this on people's videos. Even when I was sort of a lot more dogmatic about the law of assumption, I never felt the need to do that. I'm happy for you. If you've got what you wanted, that's fine. Like, I pretty much, I mean, if I remember to, I say it won't necessarily lead to burnout for you, et cetera, but it can. And I'm just trying to encourage you to do the better feeling way, because why risk it? And if you like really love yourself, if your self-concept was so good, you would choose the way that feels better, right? But I didn't say in that video that if you chase them, that you'll chase them away. I said, if you want to be chased by someone, you can't both be chasing each other. That's two different realities. So just to clarify that, this is an example of when you are watching a video or listening to a video through that lens of panic that you're not going to be able to have what you want, or you're going to hear something that opposes what you believe, then you're seeing through things through that lens, through that shit smear lens that I'm always talking about. Because I didn't even say that, but that's what you heard because of where you were coming from watching the video. It's really dangerous to have to be in an echo chamber of only people who say what you already think and believe, or agree with everything that you believe or want to hear, or whatever it is, because you can't even be sure that you're choosing your own belief systems when you're only around people who say and do the same things as you, because your belief systems are created by anything you see, hear, think, and say enough times that your mind starts to take them as fact. It's deep rooted with feelings. So unless you're hearing other things and being able to go, no, I still believe what I believe, or okay, maybe what Cerise is saying about the feelings piece is not worth possibly getting burnt out by ignoring, for example, or actually it feels a lot nicer to manifest what I want feeling better as opposed to anxious and obsessive and desperate, you know? And none of what I'm saying can have a negative effect on you. I'm still saying that you need to anchor yourself to the end result that you want by living in the end and steering the ship with your thoughts. I'm just telling you how to make that easier and more enjoyable and actually more efficient, because a more deep rooted belief has an emotion connected to it, negative or positive, favorable or unfavorable. Let's continue. She said, same with receiving and giving, does not have to be balance between those. No, it doesn't. It's just going to be a nicer experience. If you always need someone to be giving to you endlessly without you ever giving anything back and there being a balance, that's going to take a lot of your mental power to have to continue to create, first of all. But you also have to ask yourself, where is that coming from? Why do I need to always be the person only ever receiving? Is there a fear of like if you give back then you won't get, or that it'll be taken advantage of, blah blah blah? Like there's nuance to this. So when you regulate your nervous system, and which is one of my cheat codes, you do the self-concept work as well as treating yourself how you want to be treated, not just your I am affirmations. You do the feel good things, things you enjoy that are unrelated to your manifestation. You don't really need one person to be giving you all the things to make you feel happy and fulfilled and loved and cared for and respected and prioritized and committed to. And that pressure of needing that from one person or one thing, like taking into account tangible manifestations, is taking a lot more, like I said, brain power to have to continue perpetuating. When you can give those things to yourself, and when you can see that you can get those feelings that you want from the main manifestation that you want from other areas of your life already, or as well as, then you feel a lot less pressure to have to obsessively and anxiously affirm constantly to continue that surface level belief going to be able to maintain your manifestation, which is ultimately going to lead to burnout at some point. You can't keep that up forever. And no, you won't relate with my videos if your nervous system's out of whack, but you can still take something positive from it. This person also commented, you talk about psychology, not manifestation itself. What you talk about, it's still beliefs. There's a lot of typos in this. What you talk about is still beliefs and assumptions. You say pushing on the SP, it pushes them away. It's the assumption from the psychology. And the reason I do talk about these things is because not all of my followers, not all the people who watch these videos are at the point of being able to like not fixate on the how and the when. So giving 3D examples of something that kind of lines up a bit more with logic, even though we know that manifestation isn't logical, can help them come to an understanding of how they're getting in their own way. And then I talk about my cheat codes, which will help them get to the point where they naturally will stop focusing on the how and the when. I'm giving people an opportunity to relate to what I'm saying so that they can incorporate my cheat codes, because I know that ultimately that is what is going to help them. But when I come on these videos and I just say, just live from the end, just do my cheat codes, good luck. That'll help you. It's like if I don't explain to them how it helps them, what 3D world things that those things address, then sometimes they're going to be less likely to do them. And I know that they're going to help people. So that's really why I talk about those things now. I didn't used to in my old videos. I'm actually getting more comments and things like that, and people resonating with these more recent videos since I've returned to regular posting, partially because I'm talking about these other aspects that people can relate to more in terms of the life they've been living so far, and how they will be able to not focus so much on those things and just allow things a bit more. Speaking of my cheat codes, the Cheat Code Academy has officially launched. I had recorded a bunch of videos that I had only been talking about the waitlist in, not taking into account that by the time I posted them, the Cheat Code Academy might have already launched. So put it in the description below with the link to the Cheat Code Academy. We've also got an app that you can download for the group/community side of the membership, which is pretty cool. It's like our own little social media. It's kind of laid out a lot like Facebook, but it's not within Facebook. It's its own thing. So that way you can get notifications when I upload each month's content or the posts regarding the Q&As. There will be 4 every month. Most memberships only offer 1. I know. And my membership's more accessibly priced. madness. So yeah, the Q&As are there for your individual circumstances if you want to ask a question, and I'll give an in-depth answer to coach you through that in a video. They're pre-submitted questions, and then I pre-record the videos and post them in the Level Up library for you to be able to visit whenever you need a reminder. I'll see you in the Cheat Code Academy. Why am I doing that? I don't know. I think I also forgot to mention that I'm gradually releasing all the content from the Reunited with Romantic SP workshop into the Academy Level Up library as well. So there's that. So, yeah, the way in which I talk about things on here is not to instill limiting beliefs. Even when I'm giving examples of things, I'm always saying, don't take that on as your middle. You know, when I give the example of like a third party could be part of your manifestation in these ways, right? Don't make that your middle because that might not be part of the most efficient route to your end goal. However, manifestation isn't logical, and that is how it could be playing out. Same with when I explain things regarding science, you know, in terms of neuroscience. I mean, it's funny because a lot of law of assumption people love to use neuroscience as a way to prove the law of assumption, but then they don't know enough about neuroscience to, and I didn't as well, so I'm not, again, being a dick, but they don't know enough about neuroscience to know that it's actually the study of the whole nervous system, including the brain. The brain is part of the nervous system. It's not just the study of the brain. And yet they ignore the feelings piece, like I did. And, you know, if we can't use any terminology from any kind of science or study, then good luck explaining law of assumption without using the word subconscious, which is a psychological term. Like, let's be real here, people. If you are feeling the need to comment on people's videos, to argue what they're saying, you're probably not in the state of effortlessly being able to have what you want, which sounds a lot nicer to me than having to obsessively and anxiously affirm forever to be able to have and hold on to what I want. And again, like I said, I have a lot of empathy for this person. My channel is here. If anyone who feels upset about anything that I've said in these videos because they are coming at watching them through the lens of that dogmatic way of thinking about law of assumption or law of attraction, whatever it is, it's here when you want to come back if you find that you've become physically and mentally unwell like I did, which I would rather you didn't learn that way. But I can only share my story and teach from my own experience. So there was another comment that was made on just a snippet of one of my long form YouTube videos that I put on TikTok to direct people to the full video so that they wouldn't do this. But it ended up being quite an amicable conversation. This person was quite respectful, but just disagreeing, and it was fine. And we ended the conversation saying, you know, all the best, great. But these were her comments. You're framing these things as negative based on your beliefs. Obsessively thinking, in quotation marks, can be reframed as robotic affirming to saturate the subconscious mind and create new neural pathways. There's a difference between obsessively thinking and robotic affirming. Robotic affirming is meant to be kind of mindless with no feeling attached to it, right? Obsessively thinking, obsessively anxiously affirming is attached to that anxiety, which, as I'm always talking about, if this person had watched my full video, which I did encourage her to watch if she felt like it, I don't know if she did or not, totally fine whether she did or not. And again, if she's manifesting her vision of an awesome life without incorporating in my cheat codes, awesome. Again, I push them because it's not really worth the risk of getting to where I got to. I can tell you that much. Again, if you want to know the extent of how bad I got before I incorporated in my cheat codes and then realized that they were manifestation cheat codes to make things easier, more efficient, and more enjoyable, because that's the way our experience is supposed to be. We're not here to go through hardships to get to happiness. That makes as much sense. It's going to war for peace. It makes no fucking sense. Yeah, obsessively and anxiously affirming or thinking is associating that feeling of anxiety and desperation and everything with your manifestation. Even though you're building a mental belief of having it, you're associating anxiety with that. So when it comes in, you're either going to find it really like a lot of work to potentially the point of burnout to continuously be pouring into your cup that thought, like the thoughts of it's mine, it's fine, I'm lovable, I'm this, that, I'm wealthy, whatever it is. When you associate a positive feeling with that, a positive emotion with that thought. That is what is rooting it into your physiology so that you don't have to constantly think about it being in line with how you want it to be. So it's less work, it's more flowing, less forcing, because manifestation is really about flow, not force, which is why when you force things, it usually backfires. So I would argue respectfully that there's a difference between robotic affirming and obsessively anxiously affirming. And also, your mind is going to more readily take in the new thoughts that you're telling it when it feels safe to. Anxiety is not a state of safety, it is a state of fight or flight, survival mode. She does go on to say the message is valid, though. We want to find ways to manifest that feel best and work for us. Just pointing out you're labeling these things as bad based on your beliefs. I wasn't, but she didn't watch the full video, which I did. I did say to her she could do if she wanted to. And yes, people should do things that the way that feels the best, but recalibrating their nervous system to the point of knowing what feels best, because what you think feels best from an out of whack nervous system is something that isn't in line with your manifestation. It's chasing a fleeting dopamine hit. So that is not advised. She then goes on to say, I understand you've had experiences that have led you to these perspectives. Yes, but that doesn't make it true for everyone. I don't say that it does. I just say, wouldn't you rather choose the nicer feeling way than the shittier feeling way? And wouldn't you rather not risk leading to the mental and physical unwellness and burnout that I experienced? And that's the whole point of the law of assumption. Yeah, I still teach the law of assumption. I just teach how to make the law of assumption more easy, efficient, and enjoyable. That's all. She then goes on to say, this was a lengthy conversation. I forgot how long it was. I've heard plenty of stories of people who didn't do nervous system regulation and got their desire. Never said you couldn't. Never said you couldn't. Who manifested from lack and low vibration or whatever negative. Obsessively thinking, even if it isn't. Oh, this is the video, right? So obsessively thinking, even if it is in line, that's out. That is toxic. Stifling your feelings, that's out. That is toxic. Not worrying about what feels bad and putting yourself in situations that feel bad in favor of just affirming, that's out. That is toxic. Especially, like I said, when you're around things or people that are kicking up your anxiety, because eventually you run out of steam with the anxiety and it becomes depression. That's no bueno. That's the tiniest part of the whole video that I did. I've heard plenty of stories of people who didn't do nervous system regulation and got their desire, who manifested from lack or low vibrations or whatever else negative meaning others give things. So I say in most of my videos when I do talk about why I push the cheat code so much, that you can manifest from shitty self-concept, from lack. You don't have to be positive all the time. I say all of that. But again, you're still associating that anxious energy, that sadness, that hurt, whatever it is, resentment from your past experiences to the thoughts that you are creating for your new experience. And yeah, if you want to just manifest it in for the sake of manifesting it in, sure. If you're manifesting it in for the sake of just getting a fleeting dopamine hit, sure. But if you want it to be a sustainable like relationship, for example, or wealth that lasts, you don't want to just win the lotto and then go bankrupt like so many people do when they win the lotto. If you want it to be sustainable, you would be doing yourself a huge favor to be associating more positive feelings or just a neutral feeling, because that is the novelty is worn off part of having a manifestation, when it's very normal for you to be wealthy or in a happy, healthy, loving, committed, respectful, long-term committed relationship. When it's natural for you to have a successful business, that you can trust that even though the amounts that come in may ebb and flow, you'll never be without money. You will always have enough to live as comfortably as you want to. Associating that feeling of neutrality and or positive feelings with that are what are going to help you not self-sabotage in those moments. Like, let's use the business one as an example. Doing sales from a place of panic doesn't yield as good results as doing sales from a place of generosity. See the distinction? So, obsessively. So, if you're going through an ebb part of your business and you do a sale because you're like, oh my God, I'm just worried that I'm not going to have enough money, you might not get any one bite the sale, or not as much as you were hoping for. But if you can, flow through that, have the expectation that things always work out, that you're never without blah, 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 then the next month is usually going to be higher. I've experienced this in my own business when I've had sales. Like there have been times where like only one or two people have taken me up on the sale. And I'm like, guys, I've reminded you so many times. I've had people say, hey, I really wanted to get that when it was on sale, but I was in the middle of my workday when I saw the email and then I forgot to go back to it and things like that. The amount of times that I get an influx of more sales at the full price of a product or service straight after a sale has ended, when I've gotten like not that many bites, even when I'm doing it from a place of generosity, is crazy. And what happens then? I end up making more money because people are paying full price after the sale. So this person then goes on to say, we tend to say the world is a certain way based on our limited viewpoint. I've watched a lot of coaches introduce more limiting beliefs to people than they ever had to begin with. And yet, so many of my clients, my one to one clients and followers who utilize my cheat codes, have said that they have manifested things in so much easier than all the times that they were obsessively affirming and felt like they were fighting up against the 3D. And that it's easy to maintain those things that they had manifested in and out a few times now are just effortless for them and that they're living their best lives. If I remember to, I'll put a few of those things around me. Okay. So, like, I'm not saying my way is the only way. Okay. And I'm not saying that you can't get things from an out of whack nervous system and all of that shit. Like, if this person had watched the whole video, they might have actually gotten something positive out of it. But that's fine. We finished off by her saying, we can have differing opinions. That's why we have our own personal reality. Yep. Wish you all the best as well. Because I had wished her all the best. When I said, like, I just sort of said towards the end, like, yeah, I mean, I didn't really say that, but if you wanted to watch the whole video and get the full picture of what I was saying, you're welcome to go and watch the video, blah, blah, blah. And when people comment on my videos, when they have watched the whole video and it's been through that dogmatic lens of their own limiting beliefs, really, which is the irony of it all, I just say, thank you for interacting with my channel. It helps me with the algorithm. It's helping my channel grow. Thanks. And I'm here if you need me in the future. So I hope that clarified a few things for any of you who have returned to my videos but had been kind of feeling a similar way about some of the things I say, because you are coming from a more potentially dogmatic view of the law of assumption or law of attraction. Hopefully that just gives you an understanding of why I talk about things the way that I do. There are plenty of people that I follow, even outside of manifestation, because I don't follow that many people to do with manifestation anymore, but I do still follow some people. I don't watch all of their videos. It's like if something catches my eye in my subscription feed kind of thing, I might watch one. But, even on social media, there's plenty of people I follow that don't agree with everything that I say. And I actually honestly respect those people more than the people who just go along with everything in like a certain community say, because, it's similar to a nice person and a good person, right? There's a difference to me in my mind. A nice person is someone who cares what people think, who virtue signals and tries to prove to people that they're the nice person. And a good person can actually tell someone to go fuck themselves or that they disagree, but still be doing good things. And they don't feel the need to talk about the good things that they do. And they don't care if people don't think that they're a good person because they know that they are, right? That's the difference. So, when you do things like the manifestation cheat codes, you're able to watch people's content and take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't without it shaking whether or not you believe you can have what you want. And doesn't that sound like a much more pleasant way of going through life? Like being able to, not feeling like you have to cut people off because they have different views to you, whether it's manifestation related or otherwise, like political views or whatever. Do you know that person to be a good person? I won't get political, but I've heard a lot of people in the recent election, things like that, cutting out family and friends who voted differently to them and everything. And it's just like, have you had a great friendship with this person? Have they treated you well? Why are you cutting them out just because they voted for someone else? It's all very fear-based. And this is why these people's lives are getting worse. It's not to do with anything that anyone else is doing. It's to do with what they're doing to themselves, what they're projecting out from themselves. Because remember, life isn't happening to you, it's coming from you.